Welcome back to the Swider Show. Patty, I'm revived. I'm energized after a week off. I mean, Patty, we don't do it often. We don't take weeks off often. We come to play every single week, but I definitely feel revived after taking last week off, man.
Yeah, it's the first week of 2023 that we've taken a week off. Adam actually pointed that out, which I wasn't surprised by because I knew we've been consistent. But hearing that, I mean, we're workhorses 5 months in a row, episode every week. But yeah, I missed you guys. So it's great to be behind the mic again.
Yeah, man. I mean, what a guest to have. You guys have obviously seen it in the title, but we had Terance Mann on the podcast this week. I mean, Terance was an unbelievable guest. You
Mhm.
guys will hear him. He's just such a well spoken. Um, he's been through a lot in the NBA. He's had every single experience of role changes and having big games in the playoffs, making deep playoff runs, and then also having some shortcomings with his team. Just having unlucky things with injuries with the Clippers. So great interview with Terance. We get into a lot, and super excited for you guys to hear that interview later.
Yeah, that was big time. Just a heavy hitter right after the break. Make it worth the wait of you guys like waiting for more, wanting more out of the Swider Show. So we just come back, bang, Terance Mann. But yeah, he was like one of the best guests we've had on the show to this point. Episode 35. It's like our 30th unique guest. He was definitely up there in best interviews. So yeah, you guys will enjoy that. But Swire, how did you spend your week off? Are you still home now?
Yeah, I'm still home. So after the season, I obviously was able to come back to Rhode Island, and it's been great just being able to spend time with the family. Took the first week almost like completely off. Tried not to touch a basketball, and then got back to it this past week. Starting to rev up the workouts. And man, just like the amount of I was thinking about the other day, the amount of knowledge I have this year compared to this time last year. It's honestly game changing, man. It's like it's just unbelievable to have experienced that playoff run, but at the same time, um, I feel like I've gotten a lot better, and it's gonna be able to be
Mhm.
shown in summer league this year.
Do you feel like you have some more clout at home, even though I mean you've been a prodigy around the Portsmouth uh parts like your entire life, but I feel like when you come home it's like, oh, it's Cole Swider, he's on the Lakers. There's a little bit more pull there. Do you feel like even more of the man when you're walking around?
Yeah, I mean a little bit, but I don't really. There's not like a downtown in Portsmouth or anything like that. It's not like a place where you can like walk around and like really be seen.
Yeah,
So
people are spotting you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I definitely got spotted a little bit down in Newport. When I went, it was funny. The first night I got home, I stayed in Boston, and went out with a couple of my friends and hung out in the city. And we were walking down the street, and I saw two people I knew in the first like 30 seconds of stepping in Boston. So it's been cool to be home and kind of experience it after being in the league for a year.
You went to a Sox game, right? How's that?
Went to Oh, it was great. I always love going to a Sox game every single year. And Patty, you won't believe this. Just shows you how Cuse is just around, right? So
Oh, I
I
love
knew a girl
this.
who worked. I knew a girl who worked in the Red Sox ticketing department. I hit her up. She's like, "Oh, I actually don't work here anymore, but I'm gonna give your information to um, one of our ticket guys." So I get a text from the ticket guy. He hits me up. Hey, Syracuse 22 grad, was a huge fan of yours when you were at Syracuse.
That's awesome.
Um, so yeah, he hooked me up with some nice seats, and had a great time at the game with my boy Nevin and my guy Anthony Tingley. So Island Athletics for you guys who follow me on Instagram.
Yep. Yeah, he frequents it. That's awesome. Like Q's tentacles are everywhere. It's all over the
Everywhere.
place, especially living in New York City. I see like multiple times a week someone rocking some Q's gear. It's also funny for my aspect. Like if I'm on a run, sometimes I'll wear like a Q's basketball shirt, or like if I walk
Go
home from work,
Cuse.
I use the Q's basketball backpack. And yeah, people will be like, some people like yell go orange, or like you'll kind of just give each other the nod. But a lot
Yeah.
of times, Swider, I get like they look at my shorts and they see a number on it and they're like, what the hell? Were you on the basketball? Like, there's no way that's actual gear from the team. I'm like, hell yeah, it is. Schwarls issued.
Yeah.
But there's like a
Yeah.
million examples of that. Have you been watching the finals? I'm assuming.
Of course, man. It's always been an entertaining final so far, and it's like I feel like it's like almost like the series of the role player. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
in game one, you saw Denver's role players play really well, the Michael Porter Juniors and all those guys. And then in game two, you saw Miami Heat's role players really step up and Duncan Robinson have a big 10-point beginning of the fourth quarter. You see Gabe Vincent really like playing really well. I had 23 points last night. And those have been the two kind of stories of game one and game two. I still think Denver's a much better team. I think they'll probably win in probably 5 or 6, but it's gonna be a hell of a series, man. I'm excited.
I agree with you. I was happy Miami won last night though, just to make it like a lot more interesting. But it was like you're saying, it was the most impressive part about last night is coming into the series. I think anyone else would have just assumed like any game that the Heat win, Butler's probably gonna have to be like
Yeah,
super
Jimmy's having
human.
50. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean he was all right last night, but that was definitely like not an A+ J Buck game. But as we always say, Duncan Robinson there to save the day.
100%, man. It's just we talk about this with Terance a little bit, but it's just like the NBA. There's so many good players. There's so many things that these coaches have to think about. Like Terance talks about at the beginning of every single year, he has to like kind of fight his way back in the rotation, fight his way back playing, and to see Duncan kind of go from being a consistent starter in the NBA, being a better than average starter in the NBA, to getting that deal, and then last year kind of getting exposed a little bit in the playoffs and then being able to come back and be better this year than he was
Yeah.
before and be so effective when he checks in the game. It's just unbelievable to kind of see that. And honestly, I smile every single time he plays well because it helps me out.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the blueprint.
Definitely is.
It's not so because like he was a DNP in the one playing game, and like if Hero doesn't get hurt, he's probably not getting as many minutes. So it's just like all opportunity. Um, but it's sick that he's like actually taking advantage of it in the fucking NBA finals.
Yeah, no, he's obviously everyone knows of his high level shooting ability, but the way he's putting the ball on the floor, getting to the basket, finishing over guys,
It's
and being
awesome.
able to play like he's dribbling the ball now, coming off of ball screens here and there. Like he's doing his thing, man, and it makes me happy.
Yeah. So you still got Denver in 6 though?
I got Denver at 6. I just think that they have too many good players. Michael Porter and Kentavious Caldwell Pope aren't going to play like that for 3 more games.
Yeah, Porter like
Um,
really, really struggled last night.
it's been kind of like it's kind of like that for him and the Nuggets though. Like when he plays well, they're unbeatable. When he doesn't play well, it feels like
Yeah.
there's some tension with Malone and him, and he comes off the court like kind of pouting a little bit sometimes. And but when his head's right and he plays well, that I don't think there's I literally don't think Nuggets can lose if he
Yeah,
plays well.
he's the X factor, if you will. Because
Yeah,
Murray and Jokic are showing up every game, but that is a good point. If he like plays, there's sometimes where you're like, this guy is definitely an all-star. But the Michael Porter content on like TikTok, I don't know if you get those,
no,
where he just like never passes. So it's
no,
like
he doesn't. No, he
people
doesn't.
just meme it up about it, and they always crack me up.
But also, like the thing with Michael Porter is that like he doesn't have a high usage rate, so it's not like he's coming off of ball screens and like looking for guys and probing. It's like when he catches it, it's like you're 6'10", like you can get your shot off whenever, just shoot it. You know what I mean? So I see both sides of it.
Yeah, he definitely I don't know, he's a bit of a jack, but it's literally just like the ball touches his hands, he immediately shoots it. There's not many dribbles involved, like you're saying. But
Yeah,
but yeah, I actually kind of agree. I think my prediction is still Denver in 5. But Swider, since we talked last time, giant news out of Central New York. Judah Mintz back with the orange. Um, I was very like pleasantly surprised by it. I didn't have any like intel. I had not asked anyone on the team. I usually hit up the walk-ons for stuff like that, but I kind of just assumed he was gone. Seemed like he played well at
yeah,
the combine, and then bang, 1 minute video. Cuse Athletics, he's back. Um, and yeah, they're loaded now. They already were, but obviously adding him, he was like one of the best players in the or freshman in the country.
you know, Judah obviously had a great freshman year, but when you look at his game, sometimes it's like how can he improve to make himself a lock first round pick, right? It's like for him, like going into the second round, especially with the third two-way contract being put in for the NBA for the 2023-2024 season, like he could
Wait,
easily
teams are getting three G League or two ways.
teams are getting three two-ways going into next year. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
it's an incentive for teams to sign older players, is to have older players on the roster. So basically, like mostly every single second round pick is going to be put on a two-way, just
Oh,
because
really?
those contracts aren't guaranteed, or they're not required to give them a guaranteed contract. So I think it is smart in Judah's case and a bunch of other people's cases of going back, because it's like if Judah were coming out, hopefully he would get a guaranteed contract. But now he's going back to Syracuse, he's being able to work on his weaknesses. He's going to be able to make some NIL money that I heard he agreed on last year. So super excited for him. Super excited for him to be back, and just really, really exciting news. And Patty, you know what's some other really exciting news?
What's that?
That I'm clean. I'm feeling good. I'm back.
What a segue.
What a segue, huh? I'm feeling clean, and I'm just fired up with this new partnership that we have. This
Yeah,
new partnership that we have with
I think we
Manscaped.
need a round of
Let's just
applause.
clap it up. Let's
Yeah,
clap it up for Manscaped.
Adam, get it in there. But yeah, absolutely fired up about this in our week off. I think it was at the end of the week before last. Manscaped hit us up. I saw it come in the inbox. I was like, "Oh my god, it's
It's
happening!"
time. It's time.
Our first sponsor, Manscaped, tremendous product. But I don't know. Do you want to do our first ad read, or should I
You
do
got
the
it, Patty.
honors?
You've been waiting for this.
Support for the Cole Swider Show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's performance package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join us, who actually put it over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. We got a promo code for you guys, our first in the history of the show. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SWIDER, all caps. That's SWIDER at manscaped.com. And like we mentioned, over 8 million users worldwide. If our math is correct here, that's about 16 million balls, Swider.
Wow, that's great. That's great to hear. I'm not going to lie to you, Patty. I might have tried it out, and it is a great, great product. 5 stars on my side, but get 20% off and free shipping with the code SWIDER at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with the free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code SWIDER, as Patty just said, SWIDER. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Manscaped, great company, great partnership. Super excited for you guys to try this out. I'm definitely gonna be hitting up all my group chats, all my guys to use their products, and I'm pleasantly surprised with how high quality the products are over at Manscaped.
I've been dying to pull the trigger on one of these grooming packages for a while. So when I saw this come in, like I said, I was very fired up. The best part about this partnership, this ad read, is we won't have to like give lip service. We love the product. We got ourselves some undies, we got some t-shirts, and yeah, we're feeling good. Smell great. We're just
I'm wearing the t-shirt right now.
Man. Yeah, you got to check
Very,
out the
very
YouTube
comfortable t-shirt. Very, very comfortable t-shirt I wore during the interview with Terance, so he knows that I'm clean down there.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you to Manscaped. This is truly an honor. So use code SWATER at manscaped.com.
And without further ado, it's time for the Terance interview. So appreciate you guys, and follow us on all platforms. And here's Terance. Welcome back to the Swider Show. We have probably our biggest guest with Terance Mann this week. So Terance, one of my good old friends, played BABC together I watched him play BABC when I was 14. I started to get to know Terance, but Terance, a 4-year NBA veteran, the 48th pick in the 2019 NBA draft. So super excited to have you. Welcome, Terance.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, man. Finally, we got on here.
Yeah, no, for sure, bro. It's been we've been trying to get Terance on for the last couple of weeks, man, and we finally got it to work out, man. But Well, first off, Terance, I mean, how are you feeling? Obviously, a real up and down season for you guys as a whole, but a good season for you. So, what's that? What's that kind of? How is that like this year?
It was a pretty interesting year. Like you said, up and down for us. Also up and down for me. Start off the year only playing like 5 to 10 minutes for like the first 10 games, kind of figuring out my role on the team, trying to figure out what I could bring to the team, and then finally figuring that out and just trying to stay consistent in my role. But it was a weird year for us, a lot of injuries and stuff, so it was weird.
How come? I mean, it seems like every single year that you have to fight that adversity. I don't know where it's getting started, but like every single year, it seems like you prove yourself. One year, the next year, you kind of have to fight for your spot again. Like, what is that like, right? Because is that the NBA? Is that what you've kind of figured out? You and Bruce have kind of figured out, or is that just your luck, if that makes sense?
Um, I think that's just how my style of game is, man, because I do so many different things. I think coaches have a hard time of, in the beginning of the season trying to figure out exactly where I fit. And then I think after a couple games, they just realize I need to be out there, no matter what position it is. I feel like I just make the team better. So to start the year, every coach in the NBA wants to go, oh, okay, I got 2 point guards, I got 3 shooting guards, I got 3 small forwards, and it's kind of hard to categorize me in one of those positions.
Yeah.
So I kind of get lost in that, I guess, on the board with the coaches. But then after a while, I expect it. Every year I go into the season, I'm like, I know it's just gonna be some bullshit in the beginning, and
It's crazy. You're the ultimate glue guy. You know what I mean? Like every team needs a guy like you, and in the NBA, it's like you're a guy who can guard all 5 positions. You're a guy who has shown he can shoot the ball, who's shown you can get to the basket. You're athletic. You're a slasher. It's like, how do you keep a guy like you off the court? But it's funny, every single year, you and Bruce. I mean, Bruce not so much this year, but in previous years, in the rotation, out of the rotation, and it's funny, man.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
also
I feel like, sorry to cut you off. I feel
no, you
like
get
me and him are kind of carving a role for future players like us. Like, I think eventually, I think in our window, these next 5 years, it's going to be big for me and Bruce to be able to be like, all these organizations are going to be like, all right, we need players like that. We need at least one of the players like that on our team at all times. So, trying to figure that out.
I think both of you guys too. What's been like pretty impressive, especially in your scenario. You mentioned before, like it's no secret you guys have had a lot of injuries and there's lineup changes like game to game a lot. But you guys are both able to basically just like completely change the role, like depending on like how many minutes you're playing, who's starting that game. It's like you could go out, be the main ball handler, like go for 25, really like run the offense through you. But then when Kawhi and PG or like Russ are back, it's kind of like you go into that glue guy more role where it's maybe you're not getting as many shots, but you're still like impacting the game in completely different ways. But do you feel like that's like a learned skill when you got to the league, or have you always sort of like been able to play like that?
I think for myself, I feel like I've always been able to play like that. And I think that's how I got so far in the league, because I used that tool. I think in AAU, it started in AAU a long time ago, started with BABC.
Yep.
It was really positionless basketball unless you were a 4 or 5. So like 1 through 3, you were just doing whatever. Nobody's ball dominant in that offense. We run the same offense called fist. You know what I mean? The ball's moving. So you learn to like just do a whole bunch of different things that way. And I think that kind of helped me throughout my career.
That's how Florida State is too. It's just like it's not really positions. It's just like every guy can like be a slasher, just super athletic. So yeah, I mean it all makes sense. Yeah.
Hey, Terance, just for me, how many different positions do you think you played this year? There was a point where they were playing you at the point guard. There's a point where you play small ball 5 in some lineups. Like, do you play all 5 positions?
Yeah, this year I played all 5. This year I played all 5, and then not last year. Last year I probably played 4 positions, but then the year before that I also played all 5. So yeah, well, at one point I started. I want to say at the 5. I think at one point 2 years ago. So yeah, for a little while.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember Ty Lue talking about how he's going to play you at the 1, and then I see you in the playoffs playing the 4. And it's just, I mean, that's another thing I want to ask about, right? Like you guys had a bunch of roster changes this year. If it was through signing Russ at the end of the year with the trade at the trade deadlines, or even just having to have to go in a game with different lineups because of injury, right? How is this season in terms of just like preparing yourself to go out and play every single game with the roster just changing so much, and then having to completely change it once Russ gets there right before the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for us, and you saw it. I think, in the beginning, it was tough for us. We had so many injuries. We were trying with John Wall. John Wall brought us great energy and stuff. I thought he did a great job. But then he went down with injury. So then he was sitting out for a little. So then our whole dynamic kind of changed with our roster. I started playing backup point for a little while. And then I started starting at the point for like 15 to 20 games. And then we got Russ. And then that whole thing changed our whole roster because then we lost Reggie. We lost Luke Kennard. So that changed it up a bit. Then we struggled. We lost 6 games straight when we got Russ.
Yeah.
So it was tough for us to figure out exactly how to play together in a way, but it was just because we had a new roster. You have a whole new roster in the middle of the season. You got to figure that shit out, and it's not easy, especially when we played the Kings twice. They were really good. Like, the teams we were playing were really good, so it didn't help that we were playing, top of the league teams at the same time. So yeah, it wasn't easy, but we had to figure it out, and I think we did figure it out. Towards the end, and then Paul George got hurt, and then he went down. So that was tough. And then we started to figure it out again in the playoffs. We won the first game versus Phoenix. We thought we had them figured out. And then Kawhi went down, and then it was just like, it was tough.
Yeah, that was the worst. That series would have had that would have been one of the more entertaining first round series I could remember if everyone was healthy.
For sure.
But going off that though, that game 1 win was crazy, and I think Russ had the best 3 for 20 from the field game that I've ever seen. So, which sounds, it sounds like a backhanded compliment, but it was nuts, making the plays at the end and everything. But I don't know how much you want to speak to it, but how do you think that series goes if you guys actually are fully healthy?
I think I felt like we had enough even just with Kawhi to beat them.
Right.
But if we're completely healthy, I obviously, feel like we would have won the series. It wouldn't have been easy, it wouldn't have been a in 4 or 5 type of thing. But I think we could have pulled it out for sure, and gave Denver a good run also in the next round.
For sure, man. So you leave, you end up doing all 4 years of college, then you go into the draft. You're a second round pick. Talk about that pre-draft experience, because you weren't you weren't on any top 100 boards that I can remember. You weren't this solidified draft pick. What was your mindset going into the pre-draft process, and how was that pre-draft process for you?
Man, that shit was not easy.
Yeah,
it wasn't an easy thing. I was on a few draft boards somewhere in the 50s. Every week I'd be in and out on draft boards, but so they told me I had to go to Portsmouth. That's the only invite I had, was Portsmouth to start off. So I went to Portsmouth, and then from Portsmouth, while I was at Portsmouth, the day before Portsmouth, I was working out with my coach. I got hurt. My elbow was swelled up, it was huge. So I was panicking. I couldn't shoot the ball. I was in pain. So I went into Portsmouth, not able to shoot. I just went off the strength of just doing other things. I was like, I can't shoot threes right now. I can't shoot free throws, nothing. I was just out there, doing the intangibles. And then I got off there. I got an invite to the G League Combine. So I recovered, went to the G League Combine. That was cool. I guess they were only going to invite 10 people from the G League Combine to the regular Combine. And at first I had missed that window, I guess. And then I was on my way to the airport. They called me. They're like, yo, we invite you to the NBA Combine, blah, blah, blah. So then I got invited to the NBA Combine, did that whole process. Then after that, did 15 workouts for teams. So it was a long ass process. It all started in Portsmouth though. That was the only thing I had going for myself at first.
That was the same thing with me, man. I started out as a Portsmouth guy too. And going to Portsmouth, you realize that everyone there, we're great college players, but they're all trying to get to the NBA combine. They're all trying to prove themselves. So it's hard to play in that environment. Talk about that Portsmouth experience, because it's like the one thing NBA teams want to see you do in that environment is shoot the basketball, and you have a bruised elbow. So like that must be so mentally, because the one thing that they haven't seen you done is shoot the three at a consistent
Right.
clip.
And that's what everybody was talking about. And everybody was like, we just want to see you shoot the three. They would tell all my coaches, we want to see you shoot the three. It was tough. I couldn't. Like, I physically could not shoot the three. And so yeah. So the team I had at Portsmouth, though, it was a lot of guys I was familiar with, and we were all cool. Yeah. We kind of, learned how. I think Jalen Adams was on my team. A couple other guys that I was really cool with. So we played off each other and made sure that each other shined in different ways. So I always respect those guys for that. And I think we all went on to do pretty well. But yeah, man, it really wasn't an easy thing to do, because I was just like, I'm gonna have to get this G League Combine invite off of doing other shit. And then at the G League Combine, that's when I'm gonna shoot once I'm recovered.
Yeah, seriously.
That's nuts.
Seriously.
I mean, if your elbow was healthy, you might have been like a top 10 pick then.
Yeah, we don't know what would have happened if I was out there shooting three. Because I always, colleges, everybody was always like, we don't know if you can shoot. I always knew I could shoot. I just didn't.
Yeah.
Just wasn't used to shooting a lot. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't used to shooting like 4 through 8 threes a game. I'm used to shooting 1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? But I just loved getting to the basket so much that's what I relied on. But obviously the game changes, so I had to adapt with it. And I would always tell them like, yo, I can shoot. Like, trust me, you know what I'm saying? I go to their workouts. Every team would have the Hawks would have their little 100, 105.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. And I'm always like 68 plus, 68 to 80 every time I go through those. So they're like, oh, you can shoot. Why don't you shoot more? I'm like, I'm not used to it. Like, that wasn't my game. ABC, I always drove to the basket. You know what I'm saying? I was getting steals, dunks. That's all I was doing. In college, I was coming off ball screens, making reads, getting to the basket. So, yeah, I just never so now people are seeing like, oh yeah, he can shoot.
Terance, like, talk about, because you were like you were always good. Like, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but like, I always remember you being like the number 1 player in New England, the top 5 player in New England. Do you think, and then you're also able to continue that throughout your whole entire high school, whole entire college career, make it to the NBA? Do you think just being so much physically bigger than guys at a young age kind of took away from your ability to figure out how to shoot? Because you were able to be so dominant from such a young age of just getting to the basket every single time, and no one was able to stop you even to your senior year of college. Talk about. Do you think if you didn't have that physical capabilities right away, like, you would have developed that shot a little bit differently?
Yeah, I think 100%. I think ever since I was younger, I wasn't the tallest, but I was always fast and strong. So I just those abilities to get to the basket as best I can. And I think that definitely took away from my love to just shoot the ball from 3 or, shoot middies and stuff like that. I just never, thought I had needed to. So, you bring up a good point where even in high school, in the league that we played in, I just was still faster and stronger than a lot of players. So,
and better and could dribble and shoot, one of the biggest players on the court. It was no one could guard him, bro. Like, it was.
I really did Swider.
I really did everything that year. That year I won that my
player
last
of the year.
High school, I won player of the year.
Championship.
We had Donovan Mitchell up in New Hampshire. Like, I won Gatorade player of the year over all those guys. So, it was pretty cool.
No, for sure, man. You were such a physical force in high school, and obviously URBL, everything. But then you get to the NBA. Obviously, you were a second-round pick, and your rookie year was strange with the COVID lockdown. You're in and out of the G League. Talk about just that rookie year and how you're able to remain confident and strong and work on your skills when there was no certainty of I'm playing with the Clippers or I'm playing with Agua Caliente at the time.
That wasn't easy, but I had really good vets my rookie year, man. Those guys, man, they helped me through it. I had a lot of guys who took the G League route also. So they were like, they acted like it was normal. You know what I mean? They didn't look at it as like, oh, you're in the G League and made you feel some type of way about it. You know what I mean? That's like part of the process. That's 80% of these players in the NBA are going through that. You know what I'm saying? If you're not lottery, you're not high first round, you most likely going through the G League path. And I accepted it with open arms. I had a great time in the G League. I had a great time. So it wasn't that difficult at first. And then, after time it started to get difficult, just always being in the G, kind of getting in my own head, like, you know how it is, man. Am I ever gonna be
Why am I not up top? Yeah.
You go to the games, you want to be out there, you see, what I'm saying? You're on the bench, you're not dressed, you're like, what I'm saying? So, but it's part of the process. Everybody goes through it and you got to embrace it in order for it to benefit you.
Yeah, I mean, look at Miami right now. Their whole roster is all G guys.
Exactly, man. All of them, damn near all of them. It's crazy. Yeah. All of them touch the G League.
Do you have I think Swider, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but we've only talked to maybe one or two guys that were in the bubble that year. And for you, like experiencing that as a rookie, I'm sure it was like a complete whirlwind. But do you have a bubble story that like it kind of gives a peek behind the curtain of like how weird that time was as a player?
A bubble story that I can say on camera.
We could cut it.
I can't think of any, man. I know everybody talks about that one big meeting where all the teams were there on, and Bron stood up and said his piece, and it was really iconic. Like that if you were there for that, that's gonna go down in history for sure. That bubble meeting, it was crazy. Like I think that's just one of the biggest ones, man. But I personally enjoyed the bubble as a player because you were in the gym. That's all you could do. You were in the gym. You could go to the gym, go to your room. Those are your only two options. Or you could go fishing like on the little lake. Everybody's catching the same fish. It's like 10 fish in the lake. Everybody's catching the same one. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the bubble, and I got way better. And it made me realize that I belong. Like just being able to live with other NBA players, like it's like summer camp. You realize that everybody's human and that you belong. So it really helped my process mentally.
For sure, man. Like I can only imagine being locked in that space, but at the same time, like just being around those guys. Talk about that meeting a little bit, because there's always been stories, and they said Pat Bev was talking and guys were trying to step up and use their voice. But when it comes down to it, like LeBron is the driving force when it comes to those meetings. Like, can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, the Bucks obviously had something go down in Milwaukee, so they decided to sit out their game, and the game that they sat out in kind of messed up everything for the bubble because that game needed to be played. So they called a huge, all teams meet in the ballroom at this hotel. So, I'm a rookie still, so I'm seeing, Damian Lillard, Carmelo, everybody pulling up to the meeting, in there. Everybody's in pajamas. Like, it's just like real, like slumber. It's like real slumber party type vibes.
Think about that shit, bro. That's crazy.
Crazy. Like,
was it every player?
Every single player that was in the bubble. Yeah. So it was really crazy. Like everybody you could think of. It was crazy. Jakeem Noah was on our team. Like the legendary vibe in the ballroom was ridiculous. And like, so we're in there, and I think a couple guys got on the mic and was like, "Yo, I don't think we all realize this, but I don't think this has ever happened in NBA history where all the players are in one room like this. Like you're never gonna probably get this again. So let's take advantage of it. Let's talk. Let's see what we can come up with. Blah 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 blah." And I think everybody kind of wanted to hear what Bron had to say, but he wasn't speaking up. Like he was just chilling, listening to what everybody has to say. And then Udonis Haslem gets on the mic and he's like, "Bro, like what? Let's just end this meeting right now, because if Bron's not going to talk and then Bron's not going to say what he wants to do and how he wants to handle this, then there's no point of talking. We just might as well all go home." And as a rookie, I'm thinking like, if we go home, we get no money. Like, and the guys were cool with that because they got their millions in their accounts. So they're like, "All right, let's go home. Fuck it." And I'm like, "No, we cannot go home. I need this money, man. Rent in LA is crazy."
Yeah, facts.
I mean, like they were already taking, I think, like 19-20% of our check because we weren't playing games because of the hiatus. So we were already shit cut. Plus the LA tax. Like it was just all, the checks were not the same. So I think Pat Bev gets on the mic and he just, he gets into his Pat Bev mode. And he gets mad. he's like, what are we really doing here? Let's figure some shit out, blah, blah, blah. So then Bron finally gets on the mic. He's like, I'm with whatever y'all want to do. He's like, y'all know I don't need, this money, but I want to play. He's like, let's just do it and figure it out. And I think, Giannis said his piece. It was crazy. It was really a legendary moment.
Being around Bron, I'm not surprised at all because like LeBron's like the most like team oriented guy that like wants to like not like please everyone, but like he cares about what other people think. You know what I mean? Like he cares about like his peers and how they feel about certain situations. And like one thing about Bron that people like have misconstrued is like he wants to be like coached. He wants to be in a good environment with guys who are challenging him to be better. He's not like the alpha that just takes over a room and is like, no, we're doing this. You know what I mean? Like he actually wants to be involved with everyone. So it's cool to kind of hear that he was doing at that meeting too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, how was it your rookie year being around him and AD and just like nobody really gets to have that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Me and you were lucky in a sense where our rookie year, I got to be around Paul George, Kawhi, Lou Will, like a bunch of guys, Pat Bev. You get to be around Bron. You had a whole roster, Russ, everybody. So like, how was that? Going from college basketball to that? It's just how was that?
I think the craziest part was that like LeBron's always been my favorite player, right? Like I remember watching the 2018 finals, like seeing them lose, going to the gym, be like, yo, I gotta go help Bron out. You know what I mean? Like I got to get there one day. You know what I mean? And then for me to finally like be on the to be on the Lakers, like first of all, that's God, bro. Like there's no way like that's like I'm literally doing this in 2018, and then I end up on the Lakers 5 years later. It's crazy with the path that I had to go through in college to finally get there. And once I got there, you know, I mean, you have this like these perceived notions of what the media tells you about certain players, right? Like about Russ and about Pat and about Bron and AD and all these guys, and then you get there and you realize like, oh, these guys eating shit just like all of us, bro. You know what I mean? Like they're not doing anything that's like crazy. I mean, LeBron does all like the sleep tanks and sleep chambers and eats really well and does all that stuff, but like he'll still have a cookie every now and then. He'll still eat a bag of chips every now and then. Like in my mind, like these guys are like the ultimate professionals doing everything like. So like just to be around those guys, just to see like their work habits, to see how they prepare every single day, like to be cool with Russ. Like Russ took me under his wing from the beginning, which was awesome. Pat Bev will give you like that tough love if he sees something in you. You feel me? Like he got on my ass.
Can't show any weakness around Pat Bev, man. He's on it.
Nah. Like he got on my ass in training camp. Like
really?
he was testing me. You know what I mean? He was testing me. Because so like the story is like I had a good game against the Timberwolves in the preseason, and like his thing was like he didn't want me to get satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, like he doesn't know me as a person, so like I could see like a rookie coming in like getting satisfied. Bro, I've never been satisfied in my life. You feel me? Like I want this shit. Right. So I had a good game against the Timberwolves in preseason, and the next practice like I like forgot to play. So like the lineup was like me, AD, Bron, Pat, and Russ. And Pat calls a play for me, like pistol action, but it was like a pistol keep to come off a ball screen with AD. So in my head, I'm thinking like, so we have these 5 players on the court, and he has me come off a ball screen. Like that can't be right.
Right.
So Pat throws me the ball. I pitch it back to him, thinking that he wants to come off the ball screen. I'll go to the corner and I'll shake up for a 3 or something, right? So I mess up that play. He's like, Rook, wake up, Rook. You satisfied and shit. Don't be one-dimensional. You had a good game. Don't be satisfied. So he's on my ass the whole entire practice.
In front of everybody.
In front of everybody. In front of Rob Pelinka. In front of Darv. Like he's showed me up like in front of everybody.
I've been there too.
So then we do like this little drill after, and Pat is still going on me, right? So like during training camp, they were telling me like, yo, shoot it every single time. Every time it touches your hand, shoot the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? I get a ball, I get a pass, I shoot like a contested shot when Pat's right next to me. He's like, this motherfucker's so one-dimensional, man. So one-dimensional in front of everyone. So then whatever, like we practice ends, we get on the plane to go to Sacramento for like our last preseason game. And And Pat's on the plane talking about me with Bron, AD, and Russ. He's like, man, this dude could be good, but he's got to lock in. He's getting too satisfied, man. I can't deal with that shit. He's getting too satisfied.
Yeah.
So like just having those experiences like was great for me as a rookie, just to be able to be like, all right, like you got to be on your shit every single day, especially when you're in a position that I was in. Being around those guys, like they're here for like Bron was there for me. Anything I needed, like any question, I'll be like, yo, Bron, is it cool to ask a question right now? I'll be like, yo, I got you. You know what I mean? Like just checking the vibe, checking the room. So I mean, it was amazing to be around those guys, and honestly, like to see like how we changed throughout the season from roster and having a whole new team at the trade deadline, making the Western Conference Finals. It was a great experience, bro.
No, yeah, I bet, man. I know exactly, what you had to go through, so I understand.
Before we move off Pat Bev, I wanted to ask actually about the clip from his competing pod, Pat Bev pod, where he basically said like, I told Terance Mann like, take my job.
Yeah.
Do you have your side to that story? Was that true?
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Like, he literally encouraged me every day to
Really?
be better than he was. You know what I mean? Like, I think he saw the potential in me and what I could be, and I didn't know it yet. But hearing it from him, and it took a while. It took a while to prove to Pat Bev and to Lou Will and those guys that I belong. Like, not until halfway through my second year there that I think they really felt like, okay, he's a part of this team. He's a part of our culture, because they had all that before I got there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just a rookie. Like, I was just a young guy, rookie, second-year guy, trying to figure it out in the league. Like, so they had their culture, and I was trying to join their culture as a young guy, and they already was, and they're trying to win a championship at the same time. Like, we were championship contenders that year. If Kawhi Leonard didn't get hurt, I believe we would have had a ring that year when we went to Western Conference Finals. So
I agree with you.
That's what it was, like trying to carve out a role and gain their respect while they're deep in their career trying to win a championship. That shit was so hard, man. But I finally, I feel like I gained their trust. I think it was more off the court stuff, like, going to their room, hanging out with them, going to their house, going to any functions they had. Like, I was one of those young guys that was at everything that they said they were doing, because I wanted to, like, just gain their respect. Like, I was just like, I'm locked in on this NBA shit. I want to be in the NBA. I don't want to be anywhere else. So I'm going to just do everything I can, play the game, play the game away from the game, and just be a great rookie.
100%.
Have these guys respect me, so that when other teams ask, like, yo, you respect Terance, you think he should be on our roster, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, you know what I mean? So that was my mentality, and it took a while, but Pat Bev was right, man. He encouraged me to just be, I was his backup. So he wanted to see me be great. And I think eventually Western Conference Finals, I was starting. I started the whole Western Conference Finals. He came off the bench. He was in and out the starting lineup, but that's how it ended up being. So, which is crazy. Like, I did not see that from the beginning.
Hey, Terance, let's talk about that run a little bit, because you obviously have that big 39-point game. They have Rudy Gobert guarding you, and they're letting you shoot, and you just completely light them up, have 39. Talk about that playoff run and how much that changed your life, right? And then another question I want to ask, you can answer this after you answer that initial question, is that you signed a 2-year extension with 2 years left on your deal that you haven't even touched yet. How, like, is that something that's like not common in the NBA? Because I've never heard of, like, you haven't even like seen that money yet, and like how is that? How is that? So all right, so this. Yeah.
All right, I'll start off with that one.
Yeah.
2-year extension. I signed it because I figured, okay, the Clippers are in a position where they want to win now. And I don't know what they're going to do with me. I'm a late second-round pick. Like, they could just get rid of me. Nothing's guaranteed. I mean, you know how it is. So I was like,
100%.
My agent was like, we have the opportunity to sign an extension. It's a bridge contract, so it'll bridge you into your third contract, and you'll be coming off, I think I'm getting 11 and a half on the second year next year. So I'll be coming off that into free agency, which is really good. And I'm making 1.5 at the time. So I'm like, I'm doing it. Like,
100%. 100%.
I don't care what they're talking about. It could be 3 years from now. It's guaranteed money. So I'm doing it. Like, I mean, in hindsight, a lot of people say bet on yourself, but you never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I'm a second-round pick. I'm in and out the rotation. Like, I don't feel that comfortable and locked in the rotation to where I feel like I could bet on myself. You know what I mean? So I was just like, I'm going to do it. fuck it, I'm gonna do it, and it worked out. But
Hey, and before you get to the next question, like, how is that brought? Like, obviously, like, there's stuff that happens every single year, right? But like, how is that brought up? Like, we have you for 2 more years, but like, we want you for another 2 years. Like, how does that conversation start?
Well, it started with my agent. He was like, we had the opportunity to do this. I'm looking at, the tables. I'm looking at when the new money kicks in. Like, this would be a good idea. He had the idea first. And I was like, you think so? Like, you don't think I should just play out this year and then sign a big, 60 or 70, whatever, 80, whatever. He's like, man, this is bridge contract. Like, he kind of figured it out. And then we approached the Clippers.
With the CBA, yeah.
We approached the Clippers with it, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. Like, it's easy for them. It's a good tradable contract if I don't pan out the way they wanted me to these past 2 years that I was with them. These past 2 years was kind of like, okay, is he playing well enough for this bridge contract? And if he's not, we could just, pay him this money, trade him, whatever. It's a real tradable contract, so it was a win-win for both sides. And, it was a no-brainer for them also. So, yeah.
Yeah. No,
shout out
to
my agent, man. Shout out to Bill Duffy.
It's a super smart way to look at it.
Yeah.
Hey, that sounds like a great agent to me, man.
Ain't it a great agent, man?
That's a great agent to me. Hey, thank God I'm represented by him too, right?
Yeah, man. WME Sports now, that's what it is. Something like that.
Yeah.
But the second question, how that run was crazy. Yeah, that run completely changed my life. Like, that run 100% completely changed my life. Never thought I'd be in that position so soon in my career. Like, it was my second year. Never thought that it would be me, I guess. Like, I always knew I would be in the NBA, but to just have that much success so early on right away was pretty, especially the path I was going on. Like I said, in out the rotation, just being a young guy, trying to figure it out, trying to prove myself. It was pretty cool. But shout out to Utah Jazz for guarding me like that. Like, dumbest shit in the world, just letting Rudy off every time. Like, I don't know how to shoot or some shit. I think I shot 40% on the season that year with probably only 1.5, 2 attempts, but still, come on now. It's crazy.
Do you have to apologize to Gobert every time you play against him because you made sure he's never going to win a depoy again?
Nah, I mean, it's not personal. It's not personal.
Yeah, no, I know.
And he was just following, I guess, what the coaches told him. This is our game plan. Yeah. Let's stick to it. It worked for them, I think, when he was guarding, other guys, but other guys were missing, and we're down 25 in that game also. So you can't say it was working. It was just we came back.
Terance, talk about that, because for us we call it a free safety guy. Like, these are we have a list of every single game. These are free safety guys. It goes off percentages. It goes off attempts. And a lot of times, these guys are decent shooters. They're NBA players, but they kind of get in their head about, Aaron Gordon, prime example, right? Like, when we played him in the regular season, we played him as a free safety guy. He was shooting the ball every single time, but he was like, yo, why are they guarding me like this? I can shoot. And he was missing shots, and it worked, right? Mm-hmm. Being with that free safety, or being used to being that free safety guy, is that hard? Is that something that's it messes with your mental a little bit, or you just all right, I had 39 against these guys. I know how to play like this.
So for me, before I had that game, yes, for sure. They were playing me like that the game before too, and I was I was catching it, hesitating, man, do I shoot this? There's a reason why I'm open right now. They want me
exactly.
Do I shoot this? Do I? I didn't know what the fuck to do. The ball. So I think a big thing about it is your teammates and your coaches. What are they saying to you after you shoot and miss? You know what I mean? That was the biggest thing for me. My teammates were Pat Bev was if you don't shoot the ball, I don't care if it hits the other side of the backboard. He's you have to shoot it every single time. He's we don't care if you miss. It's just part of the offense. It's part of the flow. He's going to find you when he feels like he needs to find you. And when he feels like he needs to find you, that means he wants you to shoot it. You know what I mean? So just having my teammates there to encourage me to shoot it, every time I caught it, or just and they trusted me to make a basketball decision. I also didn't shoot it every time. You know what I mean? I also have a high IQ, and I feel like I made good decisions on, putting it back on the ground, pitching it to somebody else who comes off there wide open because there's nobody guarding me. So I think I figured that out. But nowadays, I would love for somebody to do some free safety shit like that. No matter if I miss 3 in a row, 4 in a row, now I don't care. It's just like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm a shooter. So
One person I've never seen anything like, right? Like, I think this is why Russ is the Hall of Famer he is that like teams will play him like that and he'll keep shooting. Like there's no conscience involved. Like he's just or he'll downhill attack. Like you can say what you want about Russ, like decision making or some of the things that he may do on the court, but he just attacks. He attacks that free safety and he like he's going at it every single time. I remember he was like the free safety guy when we played against you guys in the last game of the games that we played against you. And he made like 3 or 4 mid-range jump shots. He was looking right at like Phil Handy the whole entire time. You didn't guard me like that.
yeah, I think that's what makes him so great. He makes things happen. Like he is gonna make something happen. He doesn't care.
Oh, 100%.
He misses, he doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna attack, he's gonna shoot it. Like I think that's what's difficult about guarding him as a free safety because you know that he's gonna make something happen. So it's tough to just be like, whatever. You know what I mean? Because you know he's gonna do something. So I think the best way to guard him is just keep being honest. Like, don't just be in a free safety mode the whole time. You know, sometimes be up on him. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I think you got to mix it up with him because he's going to make something happen regardless. And that's exactly why he's a Hall of Famer.
For sure.
It is impressive. Him and Rondo are the two guys that I like come to top of mind that are able to actually still just like completely attack even when people do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think Rondo, I played with Rondo his last or second to last season. He was on that Western Conference Finals team, and he got to a point where he was like, "I'm gonna shoot it." Like he started shooting the 3 at a high clip too. He was at that point in his career where he was like, "I'm gonna just shoot it." He was like, "I was like, why do you just shoot it now?" Because before you used to, he's like, "Because nowadays you see guys going 3 for 10 from 3," and he's like, "I could do that too." And he's like, and that's 30%. You know, 4 for 10, that's 40%. So he had a good point with that. He's like, you know, guys, there's stars out there going 3 for 12 from 3, 3 for 10, 4 for 10, and that's considered, you know, decent. So he's like, I could do that easy too. I think he switched up his mindset with that one.
I think the craziest thing about like the NBA, right? I mean, you could tell me if I'm wrong. When it comes to like an analytical standpoint, how you're viewed if you shoot 1 for 5 compared to 2 for 5 in a game, or how you like it's mind-boggling, like how big of a difference, like 2 for 6 or 3 for 6 from a game. Like you could shoot 2 for 6 in one game, 4 for 6 the next game, and then have 2 games where you shoot like whatever 0 for 2, 0 for 2, and you're shooting 31%. Compared to if you make 1 and 1 in those other 2 games, you're shooting 50%.
And
like
and,
it's just
and then guys base that off how they're gonna guard you. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Like that's why nowadays I'm just like I'm shooting it. If I'm open, I'm shooting it. I don't care what's going on. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like it just doesn't matter.
It's like millions of dollars are based on if guys shoot 1 for 5 compared to 2 for 5.
Yeah. Or like if you're shooting 35% or 39%, you know what I'm saying? It's like he's a 39% shooter. But like the guys who's shooting 35 could be just as good as a shooter, you know what I'm saying? He just missed a few.
Yeah.
So and a couple $1 million less. That shit's crazy.
That's
crazy, man.
You just had a clip about that because, like, especially if you're a role player, you're not necessarily getting like 15 shots in a game. Like, he's like, fans will freak out at me. I'll go 0 for 3 in a game, but he's like, that means the next game I'll probably go like 3 for 4 because that's what my percentage is. But like when it's weighed so much more heavily,
yeah, like especially me. Exactly, that's a great point. Being a role player, like you go 0 for 3 from 3, and people are just like on your head, like, you know, why is he missing? Why is he missing? Next game you go 4 for 6. Everybody's praising you up. Leave him in the game. He's the best. So the NBA Twitter is crazy. It's crazy when they're worse than the front office analytics when it comes to missing made threes.
And like at the end of the day, that's 4 for 9. That's 44%. You know what I mean? Like that's it's crazy. It's crazy. I always say, like, if I get enough shots up, I'm gonna shoot over 40. You know what I mean? Like that's who I am as a shooter. Like in preseason, I was getting like a weird amount of shots, and I shot like 32%. It's like, yo, like, can he shoot at the NBA level? Like, yo, I've shot 40% for the past like 4 years of my life, and you know what I mean? It's It's crazy, man.
Good example of that is Max Strus. He just went 0 for 9 game 1. And then I think he started off game 2, 3 for 3 from 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm sure after he went 0 for 9 game 1, people on Twitter are probably going, "Oh, this guy don't got it anymore. He can't shoot it anymore." He's thinking in his head like, "Well, next game I'm definitely gonna make at least 3 of those 9 shots." You know what I mean? So it's just crazy how people don't really understand.
Yeah, Terance, we won't keep you too much longer. This has been awesome, but that's actually a pretty good segue with LA. Like, you're the first Clipper we've had on the podcast, obviously, but it's pretty like apparent. I was really deep into Lakers Twitter this year with Swider being on the squad, so like I saw kind of how crazy they are. But what's the dynamic from a Clipper and a Laker of like how is the fan like difference out there?
Well, I'm honestly I'm glad that my first few years, I wasn't on the other side, on the Lakers side, because the fans out here are so crazy when it comes. Like, I'm a Clipper. I could walk down the street. I can go to the grocery store. People are like, "Yo, Terance Mann, what's up?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody really cares because they're all Lakers fans. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure being a Laker is different. Like, they know who you are. You're playing on their team. You're playing on LA's team. Like, you missing shots. You probably can't go to the grocery store that day. You probably can't pump gas. So it's a way different dynamic out here that I've noticed going into my 5th year. Like, you really see the love for the Lakers out here. You can see the difference, but there are a lot of Clippers fans obviously out here too.
One thing I would say, just being when we play at the Clippers compared to when we play the home game, like for our Laker home games, Terance, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Like, it feels like a performance, like with all the stars there, with all the people who are like, it feels like you're doing a performance. At the Clippers, it feels like a college atmosphere. Like, the fans going crazy. They feel like they're the underdog, especially when we play there. It's like we're playing at Florida State or at NC State. You know what I mean? Like a big time college environment. So I think that's one of the biggest differences I've noticed so far.
Yeah, 100%. The way you guys lighting is in the arena is way different than ours. Like, you really feel like you're in a different place when we play at our respected home places. But playing the Lakers definitely feels like more of a show. Like, you get juiced up because it's like you feel like you're about to go like out and perform. You know what I mean? You play at our spot and it really feels like, real basketball environment. Like, you know what I mean? So it's a big difference.
Laker girls.
Swatter, NC State was kind of a hilarious pull there. That's not the road opponent I thought you were going to go with.
So the reason why I said NC State is that I went to a Duke NC State game when I was like in 8th grade, and that environment was crazy. So that's why I thought of that. Yeah, it is ACC themed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
NC State gets crazy though. Like, the way they all around that shit is crazy. I like playing there. Yeah, they stand in that little lower bowl and they're all Pitt is crazy. So you ever play that Pitt when it gets crazy? Like, when all their college kids are on one side.
There's no one there when we played them, really.
Yeah, they weren't great when we played them. So the fans weren't as crazy, but it was I've seen videos of like the old Pitt Syracuse games and like obviously Ennis hitting that shot. Like, those crowds were crazy.
It's crazy. Cuse is just like, you don't feel like you're playing. For me, playing at Cuse, like, it's like, what is this stupid? That's how I felt. Like, this is so stupid. Like, why are we in this big ass football stadium? Like, I want to play basketball. It doesn't feel like I'm playing basketball there. It's just weird. Like,
25,000 that place though. 25,000 watching them play.
Did you get used to? Did it take time to get used to that? Like, how did that work? Was it easy?
Man, I think just like when you play at Syracuse, like, you are the show. So like when you're the show, like you feel like that's like your stage. That's like a big time like place to play. Like, there's no place like it. So like for me, I took it as like, I'm so blessed and privileged to be able to play in this big time environment, have 25, 30,000 people coming to all of our games. And when you walk around town in Syracuse, it's like, like, you guys are the show. You know what I mean? So I love playing at the Dome. The Dome, because there's no place like it. Like, you're at Syracuse when you're in that Dome. So, I mean, Patty would say all the time, it's like, man, like, I don't belong here. Like,
no, I didn't belong there at all. I mean, It's like apples to oranges. It's a little different of a comparison. But in my career at Cuse, I shot one free throw. And
Really?
shooting a free throw there was the scariest moment of my entire sporting career. I was like, there is no way I hit the rim.
Nah, my freshman year was the same for me. I got fouled, and I walked to the line, and I looked up, and I was like, "Oh nah."
There's so much space behind.
I was like, "Nah, I cannot do this. I do not want to be here right now." That shit is intimidating.
Yeah, but last question for me for this is also kind of for both you guys, but I love talking to Swider about like the New England basketball scene. It seems like very, very tight knit. You were 2 years older than Swider, but it's I like didn't really have the knowledge of it and how many guys have like made it from that scene. The prep school scene up there is crazy, but can you give some like guys that you kind of looked up to growing up that made it from there, then like you kind of add yourself to that list?
Yeah, for me, so I went to Tilton, and before I got to Tilton, the roster was George Niang, Wayne Selden, Nerlens Noel,
Good
um,
luck.
Good Luck, and then they had a guy named Dominique Bull who went to Missouri. He was really good also.
Mhm.
Um, so I looked up to those guys. I looked up to Mike Carter Williams. Like everybody was like, you could be like Mike Carter Williams. He's a big point guard, big guard, slashes, can shoot a little. So I really looked up to Mike. Um, there's just so many guys in the area, man. There's so many the Brewster guys. They were so good. They had Samaj Christian. They had T.J. Warren, who's in the NBA now. They had a bunch of guys, man, that I looked up to. So it was just so much going on in that area. Ricky Lito was there. He was cooking. He went to South Kent. There was so many guys in that area that you could look up to, and that was like prime make highlights and put it on YouTube
Yeah.
type phase. So
Yeah.
like.
Ball's life, yeah.
Yeah, it was lit. Like it was lit. Every weekend it was a new mixtape dropping of somebody in New England going crazy for like 40, dunking on somebody. Then I got the chance my sophomore year to go to Tilton and play with Wayne Selden. That was a cool learning process for me. So and then these younger guys encouraged me too, like just having them like follow my path the same way I did, going to BABC, going to prep school. That was like real motivating for me too, because I was like, man, that was me, and now they're looking up to me. So it was just a cool, and like you said, it's tight knit. Duncan Robinson was playing there.
Mhm.
He gave us 30 one time in high school at Phillips Exeter. They beat us. That was crazy. I was like, who is this kid? That was the first time I ever heard of Duncan. Now look at him in the finals for the second time. So it's crazy, man. There's so many guys come out of there.
Yeah, no, I love playing the NEPSAC. NEPSAC, like every single game that you play, there's like two or three. During the time that we played it was two or three high majors on every single team, right? But yeah, all the guys that Terance said, and for me, like Terance and Bruce were like my guys. You know what I mean? Like they always took care of me. They always looked out for me. Like Terance might be the only guy I know at his stature that like when he committed to Florida State, I texted him. He hit me back right away. He's like, "Thank you, bro." When he got drafted by the Clippers, I texted him, hit me back right away. Thank you, bro. Like when he got his contract, hit him up, hit me right back. Thank you. Like to have that kind of person, to like not only as the basketball player to look up to, but like the actual person to anytime I have a question to hit Terance up, he responds. Bruce, the same thing. Like Bruce asked for my jersey. Like the only game I really played in this year was at Denver, and Bruce was like, "Yo, can I get your jersey? I want to put up on my wall." Like just stuff like that. Like to have you guys, like to see you guys be second round picks, like when I thought you guys were like the best thing ever, and then you guys grind, and me and Terance's little brother Martin played on the same AAU team, so it was like Terance been nothing but great to me, and I've looked up to those guys so much, and like me and Terance have the same agent. He made sure I'm getting taken care of with our agency and everything like that. So, I mean, honestly, like Terance, thank you so much, man. You meant the world to me in my development and for me getting here. And you saw it when no one else did too. When I was at Villanova and finally getting to Syracuse, I remember you and Bruce brought me out in Boston, and you were like, all right, like you're in a place where you can play now, like make it to the league, like make it to, like you challenged me, like make it to the league now. Like Villanova wasn't a good fit, we know that. They don't really produce the pros besides that 1 year. Like make it to the league now. So just man, just respect and everything, man. I appreciate you and just so excited and happy for how your career is going so far.
Nah, yeah, no doubt. And it's been a blessing just to be able to see you where you came from. Like I literally seen you when you were short. You before you go spurt, you had your little hands. Like you didn't have the big hands you got now yet. You were just a little shooter, and just seeing you grow, kind of like how your little brother's doing now, just growing, getting tall,
Yeah.
getting bass in your voice. Like I literally seen you every step of the way. So it's to finally see you in the NBA, man, it's dope.
Nah, man, appreciate it. But yeah, man, Terance, thank you so much for coming on, man. Another great episode of the Swider Show, and we'll be back next week with another guest.
Sir.